Daniel Radcliffe. An actor best known for playing Harry Potter, a role he started playing when he was 11. Now, we know through countless examples that being a child actor is perhaps the easiest predictor for mental health problems. Except maybe a Spotify rap that looks like this. But really, while being a child actor sometimes, if you're lucky, is very lucrative, it is not known for being good for you as a person. Yet, here we are, decades later, looking at Radcliffe not as a cautionary tale, but as the only one who seems to have actually won the game. What makes him different from the others? Numero uno on why he is different are these two people, Daniel's parents, Marcia Gresham and Ellen Radcliffe. To understand what made them so great, you have to look at what they didn't do. Most parents of child stars see the industry as a golden ticket, a way to secure the family's future to become rich through their child's rise to fame. They treat the child's career like a family business, often pushing them into toxic environments because the stakes are purely financial. Daniel's parents did the exact opposite. They knew exactly how soul-crushing show business could be. They weren't starstruck, they were protective. In fact, when the role of Harry Potter first came knocking, they actually famously turned it down. They weren't convinced it was the right move for a young kid, fearing it would completely disrupt his childhood and his sanity. They only finally agreed to let him audition after producers convinced them that the filming would stay in the UK, so he could stay close to friends and family, and that the contract wouldn't be an all-consuming multi-film commitment from the start. Throughout this entire run in the franchise, they maintained a firm boundary. Daniel was Daniel first and Harry second. They also didn't rely on his earnings, a mistake plenty other parents do make. They consistently gave him an out, regularly reminding him that if he ever wanted to stop, they would support him unconditionally. By removing that pressure to be the family breadwinner, they allowed him to view acting as a fun job rather than a necessity. So shout out to these two, they seem like great people. But of course, having great parents was only the first half of the equation. He was 20 years old, arguably the most famous person on the planet, worth tens of millions, and he was terrified. He had spent a decade on the set where his entire world was curated, and suddenly he had to face the reality of who he was when he wasn't the boy who lived. And that's when he ran into the biggest hurdle of all, the fame trap. For most child stars, that kind of suffocating visibility leads to a very predictable spiral. They lean into the celebrity lifestyle. They party because they are told that is what famous people do, and they let the external pressure numb them. Daniel did exactly that, at first. He has been incredibly candid about his struggle with alcohol during those later teenage years. He wasn't really drinking for fun, he was just drinking to turn down the volume of being the world's most recognizable face. He was, in his own words, dead behind the eyes on set, showing up hungover, terrified of the paparazzi, and feeling like his entire identity had been swallowed by a franchise. But, believe it or not, this is where he won his game. Most people in that position go either down with their ship or they let their team of PR experts curate a comeback narrative. Daniel didn't do either. He hit a wall at 20, recognized he was becoming dependent on alcohol to function, and simply, quietly stopped. No dramatic tabloid-filled rehab stay, no apology tour to the press. He just realized he didn't like the person he was becoming and he pivoted. He replaced the alcohol with obsessive fitness and long walks, and rediscovered the ability to read and think without the static of fame ringing in his ears. He realized that the only true way to save his career was to stop acting like a celebrity and start acting like a human being. And I think, although he had to go through a bit of a tough time, that discovery very early on in his adult life actually saved him from a lot of potential trouble later on. Once he had cleared the fog, Radcliffe didn't just walk away from the child star archetype, he sprinted in the complete opposite direction. He essentially took all of the Harry Potter wealth and bought himself the most valuable currency in Hollywood. The absolute freedom to never again take a job just for the paycheck. Instead of chasing the next big franchise and the next big franchise, he started treating his resume like a playground. Let me take you through a couple of movies that Daniel did since his role as Harry Potter. The Game Changers. This is a movie where Daniel Radcliffe plays Sam Houser, the founder of Rockstar Games. This movie is specifically about the making of San Andreas and the shitstorm that comes with that. What I remember most about the movie is that Daniel is incredibly persistent on getting a realistic sex scene in San Andreas.
So that scene you've got animated of Carl having sex with Denise, I wish we could include that stuff, but it's not feasible.
What's wrong with this country?
Like, it's a real deal breaker for him. Guns Akimbo, just this. Swiss Army Men, A movie that is most known for Daniel playing a farting corpse. Yeah, no, there's not much more to it than that. Horns. God-fearing Christians, please close your ears for this one. In Horns, he plays the devil. Or at least some weird version of the devil at least. And believe me, go have a look at his Wikipedia page. There are plenty of other examples than the 4 I just gave you. Although most of these movies were definitely below his market price, he never acted above the work. Whether he was on West End, Broadway or in some low-budget indie film, he gained a reputation for being the most professional person on set. He learned the names of the crew, showed up early and refused to let his fame create a buffer between him and the craft of acting. He realized that the way to stay sane in an insane industry wasn't to hide from the world, but to do the work, keep his ego in check, and most importantly, keep having fun. And he sure did a lot of that, which I think is really respectable. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Bye.